Hello, and welcome back to another episode of White Album 2. We are currently playing through CODA. So, Haruki resigned from his job in the worst way possible and didn't even give them a reason, which was super rude. He tried to get Kazusa's mom to come with them to Vienna, and she said no. So, here we are with Kazusa. Let's continue from here.
ごめん。
なんで春樹が謝るんだよ。全部お前に任せた私が悪いに決まってるだろ。
けど
私が犯した罪のことも無茶なお願いのことも本当は娘が母親に直接話さないといけないことだろ。
Yeah, but your relationship is a little bit different than most mothers and daughters, I think.
カズさん、
最初から分かってた。病気のことを聞いた時から覚悟はできてた。だからそんな心配そうな顔すんなよ。
Even as Kazusa hears about the devastating results of my conversation with Yoko-san, she still does her best to encourage me. However...
でも、そっか。母さん、もう日本を離れないのか。
Though in the end, that forced strength of hers didn't last more than a few seconds. Yoko-san had stubbornly kept to her own resolve. Her resolve to die in the country she was born in took precedence over anything else. And as a Japanese person myself, I could not do anything but to accept that. Even so...
まだ行かないって決まったわけじゃない。また来週にでももう一度説得してみるから。
I mean, she did straight up say she's not leaving. You shouldn't try to get a dying person to change their dying wishes. It's kind of bad.
春樹。
While the fact was obvious to Kazusa, I was unable to hide my shock when I learned her verdict.
陽子さん、今はちょっと気弱になってるだけだって。もっと元気になれば考え方も変わってくるって。
Only Yoko-san will stand up for us no matter what. Despite everything, I thought she would stay by Kazusa's side.
多分、もう無理なんじゃないかな。
そんなことないって。諦めたらダメだって。
I was under the naive delusion that the chain reaction of negative events would take a break in this instance.
弱気になってる時こそ本音って出るものじゃないか。
そんなこと誰が言ったんだよ。
Doesn't matter who said it, it's the truth.
私に決まってるだろ。つい最近お前相手に見せたばかりじゃないか。だからわかるよ。母さんは本当に日本に残りたいんだよ。それが何よりも大きな願いなんだ。
けどお前、陽子さんだけ一人日本に残ったら。
Then Kazusa won't be there during her final moments.
心配すんなよ。ヨーロッパのトーマ陽子オフィスが開店休業になっても私一人の稼ぎ口ぐらいなんとかなるって。
Yet, to Kazusa, that possibility is too cruel to even come to her mind.
なんとかなるって。どうやって？お前が事務所回せるのか？
Kazusa operating an office. That's a laughable thought.
もっと手っ取り早い仕事やるよ。そうだな。近所の子供にピアノを教えたりとか。それなら自分の腕だけで稼げるだろう。
お前が先生？そりゃとんでもなく面白い冗談だな。
So I go along with Kazusa and divert the conversation.
そのツッコミはとんでもなくつまらないけどな。子供相手ならなんとかなる。バカにするの。
After all, if she starts to agonize over that possibility, then we might be unable to move forward. For as long as she decides to make Japan, or rather Hojo Hospital, her own battleground, we will be unable to stay by her.
それこそ子供をバカにするなよ。大人以上にコミュニケーション能力が必要になるんだぞ。
You don't need to mansplain how to talk to kids. Kazusa talks more like a kid than an adult most of the time. The two of us no longer have the choice to stay in Japan. Hard disagree on that. We cannot commit any more sins than we already have. We cannot plant our roots in a place where Setsuna is present. Well, here's the thing. Japan is not a single city. You can just move to a different city, and then you'll never run into Setsuna, and you don't have to flee the country, and you can be near your ill mother-in-law. Like, it's just... why? It just boggles me.
なあ。
ん？
今日もそっちで寝ていいか？
カズさ。
寝るだけだよ。ちゃんとお前との約束は守る。
別にお前の方を心配してるわけじゃ。むしろ自分の理性が持つかってのが。
それこそ心配したって仕方ないだろ。お前の意志がそんなに弱いわけがないし、そもそも勝手に誓いを立ててるのはお前だ。
Haruki has proven in multiple storylines that he is that weak-willed.
私の気持ちなんかこれっぽっちも考えてくれずにさ。
ごめん。
いいよ、分かってる。お前がそういうやつだってことはずっと前から分かってるんだ。
That's right. We cannot plant our roots in a place where Setsuna is present. We cannot consummate our love.
悪い。マナーモードにするのを忘れてた。
別に出てもよかったんだぞ。
いや、後でかけ直すから。
And again, Kazusa-san's never tried to get Haruki to cut off everyone around him. This was entirely his own decision. Every time Takeya has called him, she's been like, you can answer it. You can go to the bar. You can go. But Haruki is making this decision like, no, I need to focus on Kazusa. I need to be her whole world. I'm going to focus on nothing but her. And it's like so unhealthy.
もしかして刹那？
違う。仕事関係。それも多分急ぎのようじゃないから。
そう。
There was a slight glint of doubt in her eyes. However, what I said was the truth. It wasn't from Setsuna. But it was also a lie. It wasn't a call from work either. Wasn't it just the last part that I did? And he was like, I'm never gonna lie to Kazusa. I'm only gonna tell her the truth. And then immediately, like 30 minutes later, he's like, I lied to Kazusa. Like, come on.
帰ろう。腹減ったろ。
Doesn't matter how small the lie is. He is a compulsive liar. He cannot live his life without lying. And he thinks that that's gonna protect her. It's so bad. Don't lie. The truth is, I had hoped for a little more time. I wanted to think about what I would tell them. I turned off the power of my cell phone that had the words Izuka Takeya written on it to display. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy.
それじゃあ今日も一日お疲れ様でした。乾杯。
Just this single freeze frame of the three friends is so funny. Tomo's pissed. Io looks concerned but confused. Take looks like he's trying to cover up for everybody else's negative emotions. What a trio. The Three Musketeers.
乾杯。
Goodbye. Takeya is desperate. He's desperate to try and keep everyone in high spirits. Almost as if trying to deny the reason the four of us are gathered here in the first place.
さてと、それじゃ頼もうぜ。なあ、俺いきなりチゲ行きたいんだけどダメ？
飯塚さん。
そっか。じゃあ最初は適当にいろいろ頼むか。じゃあフライドポテトと冷ややっこと
竹谷。
分かってるってだし巻きだろ。お前どこの店行っても必ず。
飯塚さん、もう黙って。
ここから先は私たちがやるから、あんたは黙って飲んでなさい。
Sit there and drink. That's so funny. Oh no. Takeya was desperate. He was desperate to hold back Yanagihara Tomo, who looked ready for a fight, and Io, who looked like she was dying to say something. From the moment I showed my face in the meeting spot by the station, to the moment we reached the bar table. It was Takeya's idea to discuss this in a bar. A bit unlike himself, he's going above and beyond to make things easier. For me alone. But once our toasts were said, there was no longer any stopping these two.
北原さん、あなた、刹那に何をしたのよ。
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad she got right out with it. Honestly, he deserves it.
柳原さん。
ああ、もうちょっと前から説明するね。実は今週からさ。
いや、俺は誤解だって何度も言ったんだよ。なのに友が妙な思い込みしちまってて。
It sucks that they're still trying to give Haruki the benefit of the doubt. And he doesn't deserve it.
刹那が今、どんなことになってるか知ってる？全部、あなたのせいなんだよ。
この子の言うことはさすがに大げさだと思うんだけどね。でも、刹那と連絡が取れないってのは本当なの。
どうせ些細なことが原因なんだろ。そんな騒ぐほどのことでもないんだろ。友はいつも周囲をむやみに引っかきますからな。
ちょっと、ちゃちゃ入れないでよ二人とも。私が話があるから呼び出したんだよ。
でも実際に春樹を呼び出したのは俺だろ。
竹谷を説得したのは私だし、あんたを勝手に走らせるわけにはいかないよ。まあ、竹谷ほど春樹をかばうつもりもないけどね。
They all looked like they had many questions to ask me, but it was too disorganized to get anywhere. Because everyone's rushing to either jump to conclusions, jump to protect Haruki, or jump to get the answers out of him. And all three of them have different goals in that aspect. But everything from their opinions to their information was completely scattered. The difference of opinion between Tomo and the other two was like night and day.
刹那と連絡取れないのか。
お母さんに聞いたら会社には行ってるみたい。だからちょっと拗ねてるだけだと思うんだけどね。
だから私日曜に会ったんだよ。刹那ボロボロに泣いてたんだってば。この人のマンションのすぐ前で。
今週に入ってからずっとこの調子なんだよ。だからお前に声かけないわけにはいかなくてさ。
あんな悲しそうな刹那、私見たことない。2年前のあの頃だって見たことないんだよ。
Also, Tomo's voice is so quiet compared to the other two's, because she's like... Tomo's, weirdly enough, always been super sensitive to Setsuna being upset. And during that time 2 years ago, she was like the one that was like, you need to get back to where you were. You need to get to be that Setsuna that I respect so much. And now she's the one that actually saw Setsuna break down, which was way worse than when she saw Setsuna just kind of like nothingness, you know? Like being heartbroken is worse than being nothing. Feeling numb, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
刹那が
This Sunday, she was in front of my apartment. That was the day after...
刹那、何言ったの？刹那があんなに泣くことなんて一つしかない。別れ話だよね。
からちょっと待ちなって。どうしてすぐ短絡的な結論に持っていこうとするかな。
そりゃ何かしらのきっかけでそういう話になったかもしれないけど、そんなの二人とも本気なわけないじゃないか。
Don't say obviously. Don't say obviously. It's not obvious anymore.
違う。あなたたち今の刹那を見てないからそんなこと言えるのよ。
Tomo uses every fiber of her being denouncing me, yet it still isn't enough. Or rather, the harder she pushes against me, the more the other two come to my defense.
北原さん、あなた今東間勝佐と一緒にいるよね。刹那に隠れて彼女と会ってたよね。
やめろって言っただろ、それ言うの。その話をしないって言うから今日セットしたのに。
ごめん、春樹。それはさすがに信じちゃいないから。
No, don't say obviously.
けど私本当に見たんだから。北原さんの隣の部屋に東間和沙が。
It may be due to the difference in time spent with me, or merely their disposition toward Yanagihara-san's personality. What's ironic is, the more they come to my defense, the more Takeya and Io stray further from the truth. And Yanagihara-san, who's acting the most hostile towards me right now, is the only one who knows the ridiculously horrible truth.
たださ、友の言うことにも一理あるんじゃないかって思ってるんだ。
いいよ。これだけの喧嘩ってなると、ドーマが絡んでるってのは本当なのかなって。
例えばさ、トーマさんが来日してきてから春樹が変に彼女のことを意識しすぎてたとか。
せつなちゃんに隠れてトーマのコンサート行ったとかさ。お前心当たりあるんじゃないのか。
お前ら
なんで信じてくれないの。二人とも昨日までは私の言うこと真面目に聞いてくれてたじゃない。
Poor Tomo. I understand. I cry at everything too, Tomo. It's not just that they trust me.
どうして北原さんを目の前にするとそんな風にいきなりしぼんじゃうのよ。
そりゃ心配だよ。心配だけど、でも春樹がさ。
今は春樹の話をちゃんと聞こうぜ。きちんと説明してもらえれば友だって納得するだろう。
Takeya and Io want to believe me. They're waiting for me to dispel their worries. Oh, well, you're gonna be waiting a lifetime, cause that's not gonna happen. They want me to laugh at the idea that I'd break up with Setsuna. They want me to reaffirm that there's nothing between Kazusa and me anymore. That our friendship would never break apart.
なあ、春樹。だから正直に話してくれよ。
いいよ。
Let's say I were to improvise an answer. Scratch my head with a half regretful look on my face and say, sorry, we got into a little fight. They would undoubtedly believe me over her. Yeah, but why even entertain the thought of lying? Like, what purpose would that serve? They'd look at each other and laugh as they say, not again, and then promise to help us make up.
俺たちで力になれることあるだろ。せつなちゃんのためにも抱え込むなよ。
竹谷。
And then everything would be resolved. Because this friendship is almost rigged to continue existing. So even now, we can just go back to those old peaceful days with just the four of us. Perhaps even the five of us.
俺は
I could turn back the clock, and it'd be as if nothing happened.
上総が好きなんだ。
Oh, I don't want to click. I don't want to click forward. I'm going to, but just know I don't want to. How idiotic. Of course I can't go back. I told them everything. When I was finished telling them everything, I told Setsuna silence enveloped our table. Because as I went from one matter to another, I was vindicating Yanagihara Tomo little by little. I told the truth in its terrible entirety. Neither Takeya nor Io tried reinterpreting it to make me look better, even though I'm sure they could.
Io.
The bustle of the bar painfully reverberates in my ear. After all, this is the only table this quiet. Yanagihara Tomo glares at me and looks at Takeya and Io from the side. And Io, rather than looking at any one person, stares down at the table as her shoulders shake slightly.
嘘だ。
And in unison, her voice was also subtly shaking.
嘘って言え、春樹。みんなをからかってたんだって。今すぐ私を指さして笑ってくれ。
いや。
違う。私が聞きたいのはそんな声じゃない。
My trying to be considerate, in a way almost identical to how Io usually is, was the last thing she wanted to hear.
そりゃ私たちは知ってたよ。5年前東間和沙が春樹のこと好きだったって、刹那に負けないくらいに本気だったって。
The moment the truth slipped from my mouth, Io stopped doubting her thoughts.
けれど今の春樹が受け入れたらダメだろ。そんなの彼女も最低だけど、春樹、あんたはもっと最悪だよ。
Honestly true. If he had gone for Kazusa back then, his friends wouldn't have been mad. But the fact that he waited and then got with Setsuna again and again and again and then proposed to Setsuna and now suddenly he's like, actually, changed my mind. That's what makes it horrible. She finally understood that I'm not lying. That the true lie had been everything I had told her up until today.
なんで刹那と一緒にいたの？何度裏切れば、どれだけあの子を傷つければ気が済むの？
That realization was visible when she raised her head.
なんで東間和沙と離れてたの？なのにどうして彼女なの？どれだけこだわれば気が済むの？
She grits her teeth, pulls away her face, and her eyes start watering as if she's on the verge of crying. But in her misery, she can't even bring herself to cry.
あんたと刹那の関係をぶち壊しておいて、さっさと逃げちゃった女なんだよ。一度捨てられたんだよ、春樹。
Both anger and sadness, disappointment and confusion, all these emotions blended together.
わかんない。春樹の考えてること全然わけわかんないよ。
ごめん。
ごめんじゃないよ。春樹が今するべきなのは謝ることじゃないよ。どうしてそれがわからないんだ。
But at the same time, it was an expression she was showing me because we were friends. Io hadn't given up yet. She was desperately trying to get me back on her side. That Setsuna needs me, and that the best possible resolution is for me to be with Setsuna. This would be for Setsuna's sake, but also mine. However,
刹那をどうするの？あんなにボロボロにしといてポイって捨てちゃうの？
柳原。
but Yanagihara-san was on Setsuna's side more than anyone else.
ついこの間まで婚約だって言ってたんだよ。わざわざ天国から地獄に突き落として何がしたいの？ 刹那が何をしたっていうの？
And that's the thing. That's the thing that like makes me mad more than anything else. The relationship was going in like a super good direction, and he proposed to her as if that would be like, don't worry, like I'm resolved to be with Setsuna. It's gonna be Setsuna. I have to pick Setsuna. Kind of like way back 5 years ago when he was like, I'm gonna sleep with Setsuna on her birthday and it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be so good. And then last minute decided to go with Kazusa. Like he's using her to get over Kazusa, and that has always been wrong.
それはだから刹那は何も。
そんなに刹那のこと嫌いになっちゃったの？わざわざ深く傷つけるようなことばかりして、まるで親の敵みたいにさ。
違う。やめてくれ。
That's why she's brazenly throwing all the questions at me that neither Takeya nor Io have ever dared to ask me. The most important question they just had to make sure of, and the question that I want to answer the least.
今まで刹那は北原さんありきで進む道を決めてきたんだよ。北原さんのために将来の可能性を狭めてきたんだよ。
What Yanagihara Tomo wanted out of Setsuna was different from me.
進学も就職も、それに歌だって。
Yes, even her singing. She understood Setsuna's songs better than anyone else, was a bigger fan than anyone else, and was her biggest promoter. She desired the artist Setsuna more than the actual Ogiso Setsuna.
あなたのそばにいられること、二人で過ごす時間が取れること、必ずそれを条件の中に入れてきたんだよ。
Which sucks because Setsuna had so many opportunities too, and she just put herself into this lifestyle just to be with Haruki. She threw away all of her other opportunities just to be with this boring guy that abandoned her again. But Setsuna graduated, found herself a job, and her appearances on stage grew fewer and fewer. Because I wasn't on the stage with her. Because I wouldn't go see her concerts. Because it would take time away from being with me. Her own strength and potential, and the reality that stood in its way, and then all the other reasons. But no one would believe me if I told them I had nothing to do with them or her decision.
だってずっと一緒に歩いていくつもりだったから、あなたと生きていくつもりだったからだよ。
Despite that, she thought about Setsuna's feelings and respected the path she chose. All while looking at me in contempt, yet she still looked at the two of us when we were together with a bitter smile.
なのに、なんで今さらトーマカズサ、どうして刹那じゃいけないの？
But just now, she was hit with the horrifying reality that Setsuna's sacrifice was completely pointless.
そんなに彼女は良かった？体の相性抜群だった？
違う。
I understand her anger completely, but I cannot do anything to quell it. I have no choice but to accept it all.
ちょっと昔の女が体開いたからってあっさり垂らし込まれちゃってさ、そんなに気持ちよかった？
そんなこと言うな。俺のことはいいけど、カズサのことだけは。
実はすんごいテクニックだったとか？ああ、きっとピアノと同じでずいぶんやり込んだんだろうね。母親みたいにさ。
やめろやめろ。俺カズサと寝てなんかない。あいつはそんな女じゃない。
But I couldn't accept her going after Kazusa. I mean, no matter what you say, people are going to hate Kazusa for this. And I'm not saying she deserves it or doesn't deserve it. She kinda does deserve it, honestly. But the fact that you're choosing another girl over Setsuna, yeah, Kazusa's gonna be hated because of that.
あいつだって辛くて悩んで苦しんで、だからそんな風に言わないでくれ。
The only things I want to protect are Kazusa's feelings and her honor. Because I promised to protect her. The only one facing judgment was to be me. Well, that's not how life works.
何それ最低。
But the retort and my judgment came from a direction I didn't expect.
寝てもいないのに何もしてないのに取り返しがつかなくなったわけでも重いもの背負ったわけでもないのにただ彼女を愛してるからって理由だけで刹那切り捨てるの。
いいよ。
I insisted on the last bastion that is protecting Kazusa.
じゃあ刹那は何だったの？心と体の両方のつながりを合わせても彼女との心の絆にかなわないって言われたんだよ。
It's a tough question, honestly.
何を？
But that attempt only had the opposite effect on her. Io is completely and utterly disgusted with me. Honestly, go Io though. I'm glad. I'm glad she's pissed because if I was Setsuna's friend, or even if I was just Haruki's friend, I would still be angry.
刹那は何だったの？そんなのが免罪符になるとでも思ってるの？春樹、あんたどれだけ刹那を見下してんのよ。
いや、違う。そんな、待って。
All of the color drains from her face. Her feelings evaporate, and the anger she directed at me earlier is nowhere to be seen.
これだけ周囲をボロボロに壊して自分たちはプラトニックですって最低の純愛だね。吐き気がする。
待ってくれよ。
I was prepared to lose my friends today. I thought that it was only natural for them to hate me, to look at me with nothing but contempt. Yet, the words Io threw at me hurt far more than I ever imagined.
いいよ、もう。二人しかいない世界で仲良くおままごとやってりゃいいじゃん。
違うって。聞いてくれ、イオ。
I never imagined I'd be met with disgust about that one thing, and to have my reasoning be so utterly rejected.
どれだけ周囲を不幸にしてもさ、純粋な二人にはお互いのことしか見えないからいいよね。
カズサはさ、ずっといろいろあって、こんなに有名になっても一人ぼっちで。だから俺しか。
No, don't even try to explain this to them because honestly it doesn't excuse anything. If you want to choose Kazusa, that's your own decision. That's fine. I don't think it's the worst decision either. But you can't just be like, oh, well, it's the best reason because XYZ. That's not how it works. Love is a feeling, and you're betraying those feelings of your loved ones. There's no explaining it. All the things I desperately planned to hold in until everything came to an end.
刹那はいろいろないからいいんだ。一人ぼっちじゃないから捨ててもいいんだ。
Mm-hmm.
そんなこと言ってないだろう。
That is what you're insinuating. All the harsh constraints that I put on myself in order to not hurt Setsuna more than I already have.
言ってるよ、春樹。刹那は自分がいなくても一人じゃないから。かわいそうじゃないから捨ててもいいって言ってるよ。
All of that didn't just become utterly meaningless. It ended up degrading Setsuna even more. Yet again, I wasn't prepared for this whatsoever. Okay, so in the middle of this lambastion, we're gonna stop there and pick up God, like, I hate it, but honestly, I really, really, really like this scene. I'm glad it's happening. I'm glad it's happening the way it is. I'm glad Io's not just like scream crying at Haruki, because honestly, he deserves to hear the hard truth. That's why I really, really like it. So we'll pick up here next time. Thanks so much for being here with me on this episode, and see you on the next one. Until then, hope you take care. See you.